I definitely want to get to your TED Talk. How did
Bring
we
this
get
right
to
there.
this TEDx? How did that all come about? Was it something that you had been wanting to do? What was the focus of it? Tell us all about it.
Yeah, I feel like just definitely broadcasting and all of that has helped me feel more comfortable speaking publicly. And so it was always something I was interested in. Again, I feel like I'm always looking for something to challenge myself. And it always just seems so daunting. Who gets up there has to memorize a 15 to 20-minute talk, do it live, and then allow it to be recorded and then shown to all of the people that subscribe and follow to TED on YouTube, right? And so it seemed really, really scary. It wasn't something I sought out though. It was just something that I was like, oh, that would be cool to do. And then actually they reached out to me and asked me to apply to be a speaker. I still went through the application process. There was definitely some points where I'm like, oh, it's okay if they don't pick me. I'm not really sure if I want to do it anyways. But then when they told me that I had been invited to be a speaker, then I was like, okay, what do I want to talk about? The thing that surprised me the most in my preparation when I wrote this speech is how quickly all of it came to me. I was so afraid, like, how am I going to fill 17 minutes? But once I honed in on this, how to make decisions like a poker player and how to extrapolate things that I've learned from poker into real world applications, it literally probably took me maybe 4 to 6 hours to write it. And I was so surprised that it came to me so quickly. But then I think it made me realize how passionate I am about sharing this information and how much of this I have accumulated in my head, but I just never verbalized it in this way. So I'm so glad that I said yes. I'm so glad that I did it. I feel like the topic is something that applies to hopefully everybody. And that's kind of what I was going for is I wanted to show people that poker is not just a game. There's so much that you can learn beyond the game. I was kind of hoping that it would attract more people to poker so that they could hone some of these skills that I talked about. And it was also just about what is going to be something that everybody can connect to and relate in a way, because like TED has such a big audience. I didn't want to alienate people by being too poker heavy, but I wanted to pique their interest in the game. I'm really glad that I did it. It actually, from the time that it was recorded and done live to when they released the video, it had actually been a year. A year had passed because they had chosen it as an editor's pick. So they delay the release of the videos. And so a part of me was like, maybe they're never going to show it. Like maybe no one's ever going to see it. But but
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
yeah. But I'm really glad that it's out there now. And so I hope everybody watches it.
Tell everybody where they can find it. Like, do they
Yes.
go to
Right.
TEDx or is it on YouTube? Where can we find it?
Yeah, so it's on YouTube, but also if you follow me in my social media, like on my X profile, I have a link to it. On my Instagram profile, I have a link to it. But you could also just Google search TEDx Maria Ho and it'll pop right up.
Awesome. Cannot wait. All right, then let's now talk about your game.
Yes.
Which came
Yeah.
first, the game or the TEDx?
So, I just happen to have a little copy,
Woo!
I feel very Phil Hellmuth right now with my promo. Like he always just like whips out his book or his like mezcal or his water brand that he's promoting now. But anyway, um,
Whatever.
but yeah, it's called Pokerriculum, and I hope like speaks to your audience because this is very much geared towards people that are maybe teetering on recreational or just starting out to become, maybe semi-pro or wanting to take that leap to becoming more of a full-time pro. It really kind of helps bridge the gap, I think, in the poker learning space. I call it a board game of sorts. It's really, it's kind of an interactive game where it's just an add-on in addition to your home game. So most people have a home game or they're in some type of environment where it feels like a home game where they're like playing with friends. But I think the thing about the home game is sometimes it kind of lacks the opportunity to get better because a lot of it is like just about bragging rights or beating your friends, right? It's kind of different than when you step into a card room and maybe you're taking it a little bit more seriously. But with this, what it is you basically get dealt like task cards and you're supposed to complete the task in order to win this like side pot that everybody's anteing into every hand. And the way that it helps you learn a new kind of strategies or tips and tricks about the game is it might say something like 3-bet a late position opener from the small blind without a premium hand, right? So then it kind of helps you work on maybe things that would open up your game that you haven't really thought of or that you're not used to making these plays. And it kind of just helps you develop within the game this idea of this strategy of like, oh, right, like maybe this would be a good spot to make this 3-bet, and you're also incentivized because you get to win more money if you complete all your tasks. And then there's also kind of an explanation of why this task is good to improve your poker strategy, because it will say something like, well, because people who open from late position usually has a wider range. So you want to think about having some 3-bet bluffs because they're not able to continue against 3-bets very often if they're opening a wider range, right? So it kind of gives you the explanation of why you should do it. And then I think it's also just a little bit better in terms of people's attention span, because even me, I love studying poker, but I have a hard time watching a 2-hour video. Sometimes that material can feel really dry, but I love like learning things as I'm playing. That's how we used to do it old school before training videos, before like all of these live streams where we could just watch the best players in the world, play. We would learn while playing at the table and we would figure things out by ourselves and we'd be like, oh, that didn't work, or ooh, this worked, like, oh, and so this kind of allows you to learn while you're playing.
Is awesome. I
Brilliant.
love
Yeah.
that. I really, really love that. I think it's important to give those kind of uncomfortable moves. I tell my students, okay, just sit on your couch on a Sunday in your pajamas and just raise from the button and continuation bet, because they're so not comfortable with bluffing. They're not comfortable with continuation betting when they don't have anything. These are super beginners. And it's just like, no, you're not going to make hands in poker. So you have to get used to that. I love that this is next level for people who really are interested in bettering their game and what kind of moves can push them outside their comfort zone. I love that. So how did this idea all come about?
Actually, I can't take credit for thinking of it. It was created by my good friends, Kim and Vinny Caramelli. They're a couple who they just love poker. It's their hobby, it's their passion, but it's not their job. And I just became friends with them during COVID actually, and they asked me if I would help develop this game with them and develop the task cards, the strategy aspects. And I just thought it was such a good idea that I definitely wanted to be a part of it. It's been a while. I think, we first discussed it maybe 3 years ago, and now it's finally here, and we were selling it at the WSOP this past summer, but it will be available for online sales if people just go to Pokerriculum. It's spelled Pokerriculum. And so you can do a pre-order, and like they're going to be actually shipped out by me. I'm going to be the person packaging your game. If there's something you want me to leave in your game, maybe write a note on the order.
That's awesome.
But I'm actually shipping these out. We're not delegating this. We're not having somebody else do it. This is something that I'm really passionate about. And I hope that more people will see the value of having a game like this. And I just want to hear feedback. So I feel like the more people that get it, the more feedback we could get, because we want to do expansion packs where we have more advanced strategy task cards so that there's always more to learn.
Yeah, love that.
We could
Absolutely.
use it in our study group maybe. We do them on Zoom. We could play a game on PokerStars Free or wherever app in addition to the game. Would that work?
Yeah, and like all you guys would have to do is you guys can type out all of the like task cards and just like write it down like on an email and then like associate a number with it, and then everybody draws a number so that people don't know what their task is, because it's important to keep your task hidden, right? But yeah, definitely there's ways to do that.
That sounds brilliant. I can't wait to try it, and we will definitely
Yes.
let you know how that goes.
And charge an extra
Great.
couple of bucks, for you to sign it. Seeing how you're packaging it up, tell them, if you write me a note, I'll sign it. Costs you a couple
Yeah,
extra dollars.
And
sure.
you can also say it's helping to support women in poker, which has become a little bit trendy these days, but we want to see it go a lot more trendy, like go viral with it. Finally, it's been too many years, right?
Yes.
Like really get in there and change some things. I'm wondering the last thing, if you want to wrap it up. We're so happy to have you, but we want to respect your time. How much has family balance and your goals for family and what your family might think about the career of poker, especially when you were a younger woman deciding you were going to play? Did they know about poker? How much of that has supported you or been something that was it more of a challenge that has made you stronger in poker?
I think the family aspect has definitely been a challenge. My parents were not supportive of it at all, especially when I first started. So that was just another hurdle. But again, I am really stubborn. And the more that someone says, like, you shouldn't do something or you can't do something, the more motivated I am to prove them wrong. And so in some ways, I still thank my parents for how against poker they were, because the more they tried to push me away from it, the more I gravitated towards it. Now they're definitely a lot more supportive, but like family is so important to me. And I think that's also why, again, like I do have a good support system in poker. I don't talk about poker at all really with my family, not just because they don't understand really, but because they're just not that interested. That just is not what we fill our discussions with. But because family is so important to me, I don't need to talk to them about poker to like feel their love and their support. It's more just about knowing that I have a good home life to come back to when I have a bad day at the tables. That's enough for me. And I think that's the one thing that has made it a little bit harder for me to keep up the same travel schedule and the same tournament schedule as I used to, because I just don't like being away from my loved ones for that long now. And I feel like a little bit of a pool of just wanting to travel a little bit less. And so even though I have that fire in me still and I really want to compete, I am finding a better balance these days than I did when I was younger. And I think it also makes me a better player, because I used to force myself like to go play every tournament stop that was great value, or whatever the case may be, because I was like, well, you can't miss it. If you're playing poker professionally, you shouldn't miss this stop. But now I don't give myself that pressure anymore, and it just makes me play better when I actually do get a chance to get out there, because I'm much more selective about when I do go. Those chances of being able to do well in a series are just fewer and farther in between, because I don't have the same schedule that I used to. I think it just gives me kind of more of that drive to play my best instead of just showing up to show up, even if I don't feel like playing.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you are on every ESPN, all the sports shows. You're such a big broadcaster now, and so many people know your face and your game because of your analyzing. And you were in the Women's Hall of Fame. It was 2018 or 2019 recently. And you live here in LA, right? And I live here in LA. I have a love-hate thing with LA, but it is where I am most of the time when I have time to play. Is there anything that the rooms could do in LA that would make it more comfortable for you and other women to come back if there's anything off? I know it's a whole vibe thing and an issue for me of whether the rooms are saying we raise it up. We agree with WPA, the Women's Poker Association. We are valuing the women that come. We will keep you safe. For me, it's important that we know that. And I do know which ones are safe for me, but is there anything they could do to make it so you wouldn't have to always travel, even though I know the better tournaments are traveling?
Yeah, I mean, who is going to be our hero and restore LA to its poker glory days as it was, 15, 20 years ago? I think it's kind of sad what has happened to LA poker, because poker in LA, especially at the Commerce, used to be the mecca of poker. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that it was the largest card room. They had so many different games. There would always be everything you could think of running, mixed games, high stakes, limit hold'em, no limit hold'em. And now it's kind of like all been a little bit more of a shell of its former self. And I feel like they don't prioritize poker because that is not their biggest money maker, right? Because they're not just operating as a card room. They have table games, and other things that are driving really the traffic and the money. And so they're not putting money back into poker because they don't really care whether we come or not. But I feel like it's going to take people that are really passionate about, the fact that poker gets people in the door, and maybe they might go and play your table games. There's plenty of poker players that are degens, like right? Don't count us out. Like maybe make a
They're
good experience.
crazy.
Right. So I just feel like it just takes the right people. Like the management has changed so much. So many great TDs that used to be TDs at Commerce or at Bike, like they've kind of come and gone and moved on to maybe other friendlier poker places, right? And so I think it's about it's all like systemic. Like it all starts with somebody at the top saying like, we want to reinvest in poker, and then hiring the right people and hiring a good team to run their room. Because I think that we have the population for it. We have enough people who love poker in the LA area. Like, those people will come back if you just make it a better experience for us. And that's also why some of the bigger tournaments are no longer, part of the LA, like the LA circuit is not really involving like other companies like WPT, because they don't want to spend the money to bring the WPT brand in, even though it would really help their traffic, right? And so I just think that it's a shame. I feel like there's so many card rooms in LA, there's so many places to play poker, but nobody really wants to go to most of these places, So I would hope that in the next year or two, we can just maybe get some fresh blood in there, and maybe that'll change things up.
I hope so too. And all the vloggers, I think sometimes the older players might get a little frustrated, but they're bringing a lot of attention and new blood. And we had so many new players and women during the pandemic that there is a little bit of a resurgence. We just need the rooms to do a little more for poker. That's something to think about too, is that the numbers with just some of these big online streams and stuff are getting so much bigger. Their opportunity in LA is just humongous if they can just focus right in there. That's a great point that I don't think of that often, that it's not just women in poker, it's poker inside of casinos that is a bigger issue. So yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to bring up to our listeners? We have a good half of rec and professionals, tournament cash, men, women. We want anybody who just wants to make the game better and support the women who do show up.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely just think it's so important to like continue to kind of foster that sense of camaraderie among, not just women in poker. I talk about this a lot. I've been on like the Rec Poker podcast before, right? And it's just about the recreational players as well. I think people just forget that they're the lifeblood of our game, and we need to be listening to their input more, like what's going to make them feel more welcome at the table. All of these things, all of this like outreach that I think sometimes our community just isn't doing, because we somehow have just lost sight of who are the most important people to this game. The vast majority of players are not playing professionally. They might not have aspirations to ever play professionally. They're just purely doing it for the love of the game. So how can we just make this game more enjoyable for them? Because they're not doing it to make money necessarily. They're doing it because they look at it as a way to have a good time and a way to blow off some steam. And so why are we making it so hard for them to sometimes want to come back or to be able to really enjoy themselves the way that the game is meant to be played? I just think it's really just about thinking about what we can do to bring more people to the game, to keep more people in the game, and remembering why we loved poker in the first place. It wasn't always about the ROI. It wasn't always about how can you gain that extra bit of EV. It was just really about how great this game is and how fun it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally agree there. I think everyone needs to remember, hey, we all started out as rec players. Nobody woke up one day and was a pro. And if you don't love this game, you'll never be successful at it. So to find that passion, why aren't we making it more inviting for the people, those recs that we need and want and can relate to? I do believe it is finding that person in LA, if it's LA that needs the comeback right now. Cause I agree, like Commerce used to be the be all end all, but Parks Poker in Pennsylvania never puts a guarantee on their tournament. They run the best structures in this country, and you have pros that come from all over because Parks is phenomenal in giving players playability. We used to have a $300 buy-in tournament that always had first place prize money over 100K for a 300 buy-in with no guarantee. So don't tell us that it's not possible. We know it is. It's having those people that care enough to make it. And I'm pretty sure WSOP made a ton of money. So it's not like during the World Series this summer, they were worried that they didn't cover their bills. So that's the other thing. I understand, yes, slots make a lot of money, but poker makes a lot of money when you are looking at all of those other aspects. Like you said, Maria, there are dinners, there's hotel rooms, there's slots, there's table plays. Poker players are when they got out of a tournament, they're hopping in your cash game and giving you rate. So when you look at it and really run the numbers, poker players are doing so much for the casino and the surrounding town. So I think I know it is coming to the end. I want to know, what is your be all end all? What is it that Maria hasn't done, wants to do, wants to make her mark in? What is it for you?
I mean, I think a lot of it just comes down to it's just really important for me to be a good representation for women, for other people that might be looking to get into an unconventional career path, just about kind of like being able to take that leap and do something that may not be something that you would have thought you could do for a living or something that you could challenge yourself to do. But I just want people to feel comfortable taking more risks in their life. But more specifically, I would feel really happy about how I've lived my life if the like self-serving elements that come with it. I feel like I want to do something that maybe fulfills me in that regard more. So I'm always kind of looking for how I can do that, because I never want to give up poker, but I want to be able to know what that feeling is like, to feel I'm creating something that might like help other people. But also, I definitely have plans to write a book. It's not really going to be strategy focused. There's just so much strategy poker books out there, and there's so many people that do a great job. It's more, I think, about telling a little bit of my story, but also speaking to the larger audience of just trying to spread the awareness of how great poker can be for all of these other aspects of life that people may have missed, and hopefully get more people into the game, but also help people make good decisions and help people feel empowered to be able to make good decisions in high pressure situations. I think like that's something that might be like a way that I can help people, so maybe those kind of go hand in hand. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm just always looking to just be a better version of myself than I was today or yesterday. Like that's honestly like, and maybe it sounds like trite, and maybe that's what people like think or say or think they should say, but like that is really just like what's important to me. Is like I've really looked inward a lot more these last couple of years. When I was younger, it was all about like, how am I perceived? What do people think of me? This, that, and the other. And now it's more just like, what do I think about who I am? Like when I look in the mirror, am I like proud of the person that I am? And just wanting to make my parents proud of the person that they raised me to be. And so, everything that I do is really just like focused and centered on getting to that point where I can honestly look at myself in the mirror and say that I'm really happy with like who I am, the life I've lived, the way that I've treated people, and like spirituality, it happens to be a big part of that for me as well. It's just, I think maybe just looking for kind of the meaning, I think, in life, beyond just what we do on a day-to-day basis. Like poker might be a huge part of my life. It's what I do, but it's not who I am. It's certainly not like all of who I am or want to be. And so I'm just always looking for like, what else, what else can I do, or how can I end up being like that better version of myself?
I am so incredibly grateful. I think my cheeks actually hurt. I don't think I've smiled as much in an interview. It was really such a pleasure to have you on. And thank you so much for sharing so much with us. And we wish you the best of luck in everything you do.
It was awesome, Maria. We're like so on the same wavelength, even more than I thought. So thank you so much. We're a smaller podcast. We love the support. I'm sure we're going to see more from you beyond the book and other things. We will have it in the description, but do you want to let people know where to find you on social or?
Yeah, I'm just Maria Ho on X, and then Maria_Ho on Instagram. And, I have like other platforms, but those are the ones that I'm mainly on. So if anyone's ever interested in poker travels or what I'm up to next, that's how they can find me. It was so nice to talk to you both. Thank you guys for having me on, and hope we get to cross paths soon.
Yes, me too.
Yes,
okay, thanks
very
Maria.
much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
For joining us, everybody. Everything will be in the description, so go check out all of Maria's stuff, the game, all of it, and maybe we'll do a review or something soon. Bye-bye.
And we'll play your game.
Hey, poker players, welcome to the Queens of Poker. We highlight the pioneers, the rising stars, and invite more ladies to claim their seat at the table. Because the future of poker is 50% female, Max plus EV for all players.